So this guy's asking him about, there's a question to this master, Ramana Maharshi. The question is, cannot grace hasten such confidence in a seeker? Yeah, so what could speed up this process? So Ramana goes, leave it to him, that power. You want to call it the higher power or whatever, yeah? Surrender unreservedly. One of two things must be done. Now this is where I think you could just put right into AA. Either surrender because you admit your inability and also require a higher power to help you, yeah, which is what most of us, how we get established in recovery is we admit our inability to pull it off, yeah, to manage ourselves into happiness, joyousness, and freedom, yeah, and in that admittance, it produces a humility, or allows a humility to rise, and then in that humility, you sincerely ask a power greater than you to sort of direct you, yeah. So you've arrived there not out of virtue, but out of pragmatism, yeah. You've seen any life run on self cannot be successful, and all these things. So you've come to that conclusion. Or he goes, or investigate into the cause of misery. Yeah. So to me, there's a statement in recovery, it doesn't matter, it fits everybody. And the one who wrote the big book said, we manufacture our own misery. Now, I don't believe that's true. I believe we're the facility that misery can be manufactured, but also joy can be manufactured. Yeah, compassion can be manufactured. Ease and comfort could be manufactured. It's who's running the facility is what directs or determines the product that the facility's going to make up. So here we are dreaming. So we're like a dream factory, yeah? So the dreaming right now being directed by this small idea of being you is producing misery, yeah? And when the misery is produced, it sort of binds you to the idea you're the one that's miserable, or you have some role in it, or others are doing it to you, yes? So it gives you only a few ways of looking at it, but you never see that you're, you don't see it clearly. So if you would see that you're not the cause of the mystery, nor are the other people, yeah, that same conveyor line could, like a conveyor line that produces like a V8 fucking gas guzzler, could produce an electric car in a way, yeah? It's the same system, it could produce a different product based on what's directing the conveyor belt or the product line. So the whole point of recovery is to admit that you're not managerial quality in a way, and therefore you're open to suggestions and to be directed, and you realize instead of attempting to change all the time, which is drug addiction, you're just trying to change how you feel, or really how you think you're gonna feel, really, or how you once felt. So you're always trying to change something, and instead of finally seeing clearly that's not working, you submit yourself to be changed. Yeah, you just say, hey, the system has failed. Yeah, and then you learn how, because you would think that, all right, if you were in something and you finally realize it didn't work, like the car never, has 4 flat tires, has no gas in it, it's polluting like crazy, you could get out of it, yeah? So you'd say, all right, this car sucks, get out, close the door, walk away. Car's not like a dog, it's not gonna follow you, yeah? But see, the system is rooted in you're identified as the system. So every time you try to get out of the system, it's every time you try to get out of the car, it's as the car, yeah? So that little glitch keeps you locked into what you want, into what you really like to get out of, yeah? So then you fall into a category of observation of recovery, which was self can't get out of self, because a lot of quote-unquote cars have tried to get out of the car for a long time and realized the car can't get out of the car, yeah? So self can't get out of self. It isn't like, it's an observational statement. People try to get out of self every fucking which way they could, and they've realized self can't get out of self. So that's what, that which I'm not, yeah, can't get out of that which I'm not. That which I'm not, trying to get out of that which I'm not, is more of what I'm not. You don't see it? It's just obvious. You know what I mean? It's all observation. We're not 2 levels below a coconut. If you look at just a day, because basically it's the same, you're in the same posture no matter what day it is. Yeah, you're in a posture of self-centeredness. So everything is seen as how it pertains to you, and that becomes unbearable, really. So therefore, there's a drive to get out of it, which makes sense. But the system locks you in because you try to get out of you as you, and then you find, hopefully, that hey, my own interest to get out is the bigger part of being in. Yeah. Wow, what's one to do? So you finally realize, Jesus, the spiritual awakening you're looking for is a rude awakening. You awaken to the fact that you're unable to succeed in the mission that seems to be the driving mission, which is to get out of how I'm feeling, or to get out of this, or to get out of this all day, or get into this. So the getting into it is more produced by wanting of what you want to get out of than you know. Yeah, most people are moving towards shit really as a way of getting out of something else. Yeah, if they felt content and satisfied, they're, you know, Homeric odysseys that they think they're called as a higher calling, they would lose interest, because it's just a lack of contentment and satisfaction that's driving them. Yeah. I mean, so the system is fundamentally flawed, that's all. The system wants to get out of itself and can't get out of itself. And so it won't get it. It'll just try to change different vehicles to get out of itself, like reading, drug addiction, spirituality. That fails, back to drug addiction. You know, it's going to try everything possible, but really the drive is, I want to get out of me, but I want to be there to enjoy it. Yeah? So the system has you locked in a way. It doesn't. Yeah? But if you're taking yourself to be the center of the system, it has you locked in. Your wanting to get out is its biggest reflection, really. Yeah? You don't see the oasis is being made by you wanting to move away from it. Yeah? Yeah. We don't see how powerful we are. We're dreaming. We're dreaming. And if you can't see that, just look at your subjective experience today. You know, when you go to Firehouse, you're going to override Firehouse. Firehouse isn't going to make you feel like Firehouse. It's going to be you going to Firehouse, and then you leaving Firehouse, and then you going to this restaurant, and then you leaving the restaurant. There'll be a lot of firehouses, restaurants, relationship, and shit like that you go in and then inevitably go out, but it's always you. Yeah? It's always you having all the feelings. It's always you having everything that was seen is claimed as you're the one who saw it. Yeah? So then we don't see that, oh, if I could just fucking manage what I see, you know, control it, live in a perfect controlled environment where I only saw good things and felt good things, and they get to the absurdity of like Howard Hughes, where he's just locked in, walking around with Kleenex boxes on his feet. Yeah, because he figured, I gotta control everything to be okay, and he thought he had the wherewithal and the money to do it. Yeah? Now other people would probably go there if they had the wherewithal. They would go to that extreme. And they're hoping to with virtual reality. They just want to fucking, all right, lock the door, fuck on, have perfect relationships in virtual reality. It's still going to produce emptiness. Yeah? Because the fundamental dilemma, the source of the misery, is an identification as what you're not. That's the source of it. You're looking to it as the source of your joy. If it just gets enough or has enough or has it exactly the way it wanted, it's emptier and more emptier. I remember drug addiction, especially with cocaine. you would have enough people that were willing to play out fantasies with you. They had their fantasy, you had your fantasy, yeah, and then you'd meet for a day or two, and you'd just live a fantasy. You know, they would look like an objective thing you'd like, and you may be passable, or you had the cocaine, or whatever, and therefore you'd enjoy fantasies together, and always feeling as empty as fucking hell after, yeah? And so what would happen, you would say, add things to the fantasy, yeah? Add this, get her out of there, bring another her in, and then you would just keep working the equation, and it would never freaking work. Never seeing the one constant in all the fantasies was you. You know, it's just amazing how it escapes our attention. And so instead of trying to change how you feel, maybe see if you're the feeler of it. You know? How hard is that? You seem to always be here with all the feelings, so look at the feeler. Are you the feeler? If you're not the feeler, what happens? You'll find out you'll lose interest in feelings. Meaning, a feeling won't tattoo you for 40 freaking years, yeah? A resentment will come and go maybe in 10 minutes instead of having one that you've nurtured and milked for 30 years, yeah? Because that's all the way the system manufactures misery, yeah? By ownership, by claiming to be the one that was done to or is doing something. Yeah? If you weaken that little cog, the whole machinery weakens. And then the product that comes out of it is weak. Yeah? You actually lose interest before it even gets off the fucking product line. You say, oh, here it comes. You know, it's so the same old, you get bored of it. Yeah? Which is so beautiful. So you lose interest in all of that. To me, losing interest is a very high level, to tell you the truth. If you could lose interest in all your fucking callings and I am being called to meet the greatest spirit, give me a break. Fucking, he's not calling. It's not calling you at all. It's right here. Yeah? To call would be fucking lending itself to the ignorance in a way. I mean, you are what you're looking for. Yeah? With no requirements for the you to have or to complete, yeah, to be that. You are what you're looking for. Now, it doesn't say you are, after years of fucking work, will be what you're looking for. It says you are what you're looking for. What's looking is what you are. Yeah. So you are what you're looking for. This is so clear. I don't know how. And then I just ran into this, that's all. I ran into these little, let's say you were feeling like these contortions you could never see. You never knew, with all the yoga classes you were going to and not wanting to go to, you were in a yogic posture called self-centeredness. You were in a posture that you were trying to apply all these loosenings to. But it would always override all the other yoga postures, because all the other yoga postures had you as the one who had the posture. You see? The system, it travels with everywhere you go. It's like the shadow. It places itself as the shadow. It doesn't matter where you go, it's the shadow. It's going to be the feeling that you are doing it. That's all. That's where you see. And if I'm not that, then the doing has less fucking meaning. It attracts new meaning. Yeah? The feelings have new meaning. The seeings, all this have new meaning. You don't have to work at it. You observe it. Yeah? Something has been, the horse has finally been seen to be before the cart. No matter how it appears to me, because I'm blind, the horse is before the cart. Things get set. Blue is blue, red is red. Things become clear. Not through a strenuous effort, but just obviously. It's obvious. And then when the clarity is demonstrated, it implies or it infers or it just whacks you like a hammer. It's always been this way. That's the message it gets through. It cuts through the idea that it could have been different and the idea that it may be different. It says it's always been this way. That which you've been seeking has always been available. at all times, right where you are, with no requirement necessary. Always. Always. So whatever requirements come after that established fact, you can see them from the established fact. So you don't breathe life into them. You don't dream them into a seeming reality by their effects. You don't. You lose interest in it. And now what happens? You gain interest in others. You gain not too much, really, here. I gain interest in the day, trees, space, birds, winds, You gain interest. You don't. There's a gaining of interest in everything that's happening now, instead of an incredible interest of what happened to me in the past and what fucking could happen to me in the future. Because in what's not happening, anything can be imagined to be happening. You gotta see it. You're giving this fucking thing a huge bone. Yeah, when you throw the past, if I wouldn't have gotten hit by the car, I could have been a professional surfer, but you got hit by the car. That's always conveniently forgotten, the fact, and it goes off on its little spin. Oh, if I would have bought that house 1960, I would have selling it for $2.5 million, but you didn't, your little assumption, or, oh, if only, doesn't have any power, does it? And what does it do? It makes your condition seemingly worse, dreaming of it could have been way better. Yeah, you don't see it? You're dreaming it could be way better, makes it worse now. When you don't see the $2 million from the house from 1960 right now, the possibility that you could have done that makes it worse. It adds to the misery. That's the manufacturing of misery. All the misery is manufactured from what's not happening. It really is. That's where the factories aren't in China. They're in what's not happening. They're producing tons of misery, and it's like you're in a display thing. They keep circulating, and as soon as your interest goes into one, the whole display stops, and then the fucking thing gets amplified. It does. It's amazing, because we don't know our power. We're giving everything all the meaning it has. If you're seeing false evidence appearing real, and we give it the meaning of being real, it appears fucking real to us. Then you try to convince others it may not appear real to them, but to you, you're in your own little porno theater then. Yeah. So here's false evidence appearing real. It's not false, it's false evidence. False evidence. And then you go, oh yeah. Then it appears real. Then what happens? You're driven to apply a solution to it. And when you apply a solution to what's not happening, it's fucking happening. You get stuck again. It's like you're the fly paper. Yeah? You're the one that gets stuck in the fly paper, and you're the one that wants to get out of the fly paper. So here you are stuck, so you put your hand down. Oh, you're stuck here. And then, yeah. That's manufacturing misery. Manufacturing misery is from yesterday and tomorrow. That's where its fucking manufacture happens. Yes? Now, here, what's being manufactured? The presence. It's already here. Yeah. You don't have to work hard to sense the presence. You are the presence. Anytime you've ever felt presence, weren't you there? Yes, come on. I'd love to call presence back. All right. Fucking Jim, come over. There's presence. Yeah. You're it. I want to be in the moment. Well, you've succeeded completely. You can't. You are the moment. Without you, none of this is fucking going on. Yeah. If you were sleeping right now, would this be going on? No. So, this, I don't know. I came in, hit me, I don't know how many years ago. I've been motivated by something to try to explain it as clearly as possible. And most of it is warnings, really. Yeah? There is a large group, a large amount of spirituality tries to entice you to move towards what it describes as you. Yeah? It says you're love, or you're the absolute, or you're invulnerable and all this, but you don't understand what's claiming to be the hearer of that is what you're not. Yeah? So the descriptions conceptually of what you are reinforcing the hearer, which is what you're not. Yeah? So is it actually serving us to hear about what we are? I don't believe it is. And I can see it in the examples of awakening or enlightenment. It would have been better for most of us never to have heard those words, really. We would have had a better Saturday. We would have, yeah. I mean, I was fine not knowing I was awake or not. So, fucking, you've been categorized as not awake. You gotta fucking start becoming, how do I, so what am I gonna do? Use the awakeness to try to become awake? No one freaking warned me of that. No one warned me that which wants to become awake is that's the obscuring agent of being awake. What? Oh yeah, and the more I want to become awake, the bigger obscuring the I am awake fact is. What? Yeah. Because what could obscure the fact of I am awake but I am awake? That which is awake is the only thing that could obscure the fact that I'm awake. What else could? And is there an illusion that could fool reality? Give me a break. Reality has to believe that the illusion is real for it to have any effect. Yeah? We're reality. We are reality. We've never not been reality. We've always been reality. There's no need to add to it or subtract from it. It just is. You're awake, pretty much against your will. The will of what you're not doesn't want to fucking be awake. It's driving itself crazy. It'd like to have like a dimmer on the light, you know, at like 1 in the morning. Can you dim the fucking awakeness down? You know. But what's happening, the direction of the awakeness is to mostly what we're not. It's always attracted to the screen of the mental narration, pretty much, yeah? So we're in that narration, and we've forgotten the sense of being the screen, and we've taken to be the character appearing on the screen. And all we're attempting to say, not to the character that's appearing on the screen, we're attempting to send the message to the screen, yeah? And so we're trying to describe the character that's appearing on the screen to the screen, instead of trying to describe the screen to the character that's appearing on the screen. We're just trying to get the message to what you are about what you're not. Because I've seen the message of what you are directed at what you're not doesn't go anywhere. Yeah? I don't want to waste another talk trying to convince what you're not that it's something else. It doesn't go anywhere. It doesn't. It reinforces what you're not. So let's talk to what you are, and I can't miss it. It's here. Yeah? I don't. Can you call what you are here? You know, let's get everywhere here for a meeting. You know, let's gather and have a meeting of everywhere. When would it start? I'd never be late. Yeah, it's always, there's no time everywhere. It just is, and there you go. You throw the fucking message that way, but consistently. Don't change. Throw. Don't. Oh, fuck it. All right, you're everything. You'll be traveling so much lighter if you entertain this. If you just put your fucking effort into it, you'd be fucking better next month. There's a temptation to do that, but no, you just keep throwing the message. Yeah. So then suddenly you start hearing about what you're not from what you are, and you get a very clear sense. I'm not that. And then the false established starting point and end point has shifted. And when it shifts, it's never not been that way. That's the beauty of it. When this correction hits you and you get a nice free sample, it tells you there was no need for a correction. All the believing that I could be something that I'm not is just total malarkey. Seriously. You've never became what you're not. And you never have to unbecome what you're not. Seriously. You haven't. No matter the most heinous act hasn't exiled me from what I am, and the most pious act hasn't gotten me closer to what I am. Yeah. So you see what you're not, and then you see what produces it, reinforces it, which is, it's all in the thought system. The thought system is totally based on you as a body. It's like the one line, all you need to know in one line of the whole Course in Miracles is the perfect diagnosis of what's going on. The brain interprets to the body of which it is a part. So the brain is collating information, that it's being brought, the information is made available by consciousness. The brain is collating the information to pertain to the body of which it is a part. What more do you need to know? Why, if you let that land, you would have a very healthy suspicion about what's being assumed up there. You'd have a healthy suspicion of the reality of time. You'd have a lot of healthy suspicions. And you know what, excuse me, just a little seeing fucking unmasks it so quickly, and then you see the holes in it, and the holes are huge, What it does, it masks it with repetition, it just keeps on keeping on, assuming, inferring, living from the idea of being Paul, but it's just an idea, Why not get established? If you are established, wouldn't it be nice to know that you're established? I mean, really. If you are awake, which you are, wouldn't it be nice to know you are awake? I mean, instead of working so hard to believe that you could be awake if you did da-da-da-da-da, I'm just saying we're all awake, and yet here you can seem to be asleep to that fact, or you can seem to be awake to that fact. It's a fact no matter what. You can believe you're unawake, it doesn't change the fact that you're awake. So the fact is you're awake. Now you can seem to be awake to that, or you can seem to be asleep to that. It's appearing to you that which is awake, that you're awake to it. Or it's appearing to you that which is awake to be asleep to it. But it's the awakeness entertaining all of it, And the awakeness doesn't lose its nature by what it's entertaining. That's why it's called dreaming. If it wasn't, it would be transformation. I've turned into a thing. It's not. It's dreaming that I am a thing. There's never a turning into a thing. It's implied you've been a thing and you're gonna be a thing, therefore you are a thing. That's what it does. This is not a transforming place, it's a dreaming. So that which you are is dreaming that it may not be that. And then, thank God it can only last for 80, 90, 100 years. Jesus Christ. It only has a certain amount of breath because it's so fucking insane. in eternity, it's like that, fuck. Something was there, snipped out. To us, living it, we give it the feeling. Oh, do. And then we look at bugs that are here only for a day. Oh, I'm much longer lasting than that. Or, yes, but in fact, we're not here that long. You know what I mean? It's like bammo, you're gone. And when you're gone, it was like you were never here, because you weren't. Why not have a little of that now? It'll allow you to have a really nice Saturday. It will. And over and over and over again. See, you won't even have gratitude about it. It'll become normal. It'll be ordinary. You'll be established in a new condition. You'll travel lighter without any thought or effort. No vigilance, no fucking vigilance. No reviewing, how am I doing traveling lighter? You'll travel lighter. A lot of that stuff is part of the heaviness that's dropped, and you're just traveling lighter every day. And in effect, the highest level this can go to is, hey, what more do I want than that? This is not the chariot of the gods. It isn't. If it had a sense of contentment and satisfaction and a certain, like the life throats were off your neck, hands off your neck, and it would have, the word enough would be so illuminating to the action figure. It would live in a world of enough. I have enough cash, I have enough this, I have enough that, I have enough that. Yes, just all the gauges. They're not completely full, you know, brimming with gold, but they're enough. You're just like, all right, then fucking drive. You go in, the tires are good, there's gas, you know, I should have more gas, you know, you just start, isn't it? Yeah? It's like the thing with the old carburetors we used to talk about. Your car breaks down, you have your friend, and then you know a little bit about cars, so you can't start it. So you tell your friend, hey, go in the trunk, get the gas can, yeah, take the air filter off, and then put a little bit of gas, a tiny couple of drops of gas, and then it catches, yeah? Then you drive. You don't keep pouring gas in, you'll fucking flood it, yeah? You just a drop or two. All you need to do for it is to catch it. And then what? You drive. The expression of this idea here is traveling lighter. It's not knowing what light is, becoming a professor of light. It's like, who wants to be a professor of holes when you keep falling into holes? It's no point. You travel lighter. Yeah? The 2 drops, hey, I'm not that. Drive. Yeah? It's not like, oh, keep more. I want to know more, I'm not that. No, all you need is a little, and it goes a long, 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 long way. No maintenance, no 100,000 mile maintenance. Yes? You're basically freed from all the fucking heavy lifting. This is what I don't like when people are involved in something for 30 years and they say, I still have to be constantly vigilant. I don't want anything to do with that shit. After 30 years, I don't want to be constantly vigilant of anything. Yeah? If something's working, that should drop down. Don't you feel it? I have to be guarded and check out every intention I have. Well, fuck that. I saw it when I was reading that Tricycle magazine long, long time ago. Great Zen, great meditation teacher in America. He had like 30 years of teaching, and he was running into this phenomena of all his old students. They were getting in touch with him and saying, hey, nothing's happened. I just said, fuck that, great. I canceled my Tricycle subscription, pulled the fucking brake on the bus and got off. These people just did 30 years of what I've been doing for a few years. He just told me nothing's gonna happen. Get off the bus. You know what happens in alcoholism and addiction. The problem resides in the mind. It centers in the mind. And what's the center of the system of mind? Self-centeredness. So we're in a belief that we're a long-lasting, independent, separate thing that has choice. That's the doer, that's the seer, that's the feeler, that's the taster, which wasn't established when we were babies. We grew into this freaking idea, and life changed from life's happening to life's happening to me. A pure interpretation. Now we're all listening to an interpretation, trying to communicate the interpretation to another interpretation. There's no communication here, really. Everyone just agrees with you based on their experience. They don't know what it's like. Some of the hell that people are in right now, I can't do it justice. I've not been there. Who am I to say that lady in Tiburon, she's producing so much hell, has nothing to do with circumstances and situations. It's just mind. Yeah? That's the power of it. I don't know. All I can do when I hear her suffering is frame it in my suffering. That's not communication. That's comparing narratives. That's the best we can freaking do here. I did a talk at an AA thing. The proof's in the freaking pudding. I entertain these ideas. I've traveled lighter for many, many, many years. There you go. I mean, that's how you know the gold is solid. Is you fucking applied it. Yeah? Or it applied itself. I'm not saying you'll travel lighter as a hope. I'm saying it as an observation. I'm saying it isn't thy will be done, it is thy will is done as an observation. I'm not hoping that it's going to be God's will. I've fucking observed it's something's will. Yeah? That's the convincing point. You entertain the ideas, see what happens. If something's occurring, just fucking put off the conceptual restraints and requirements and let the attention and interest roll around in it, yeah? Let it roll around in the ideas and see what happens. This is gonna be changed without even wanting to change. That's just the nature of this place, yeah? You don't have to have, I've vowed for a life of change. Well, you're in it. You're gonna be changed, yeah? And I found the best changes are ones that aren't being supervised or surveilled by you, really. You just observe it. You observe your traveling lighter. You observe Jesus Christ. I can receive love now and offer love. Yeah? Wow, I can't believe it. There's an acceptance for what I'm not, which was unbelievable. Since I was young, it was always being whipped into being something else. Yeah? Now the fucking horse is free range, just roaming around, not doing anything. Paul, what have you been doing today? Nothing, really. So entertain it. You've entertained the ideas. Don't mix it with so much shit. Entertain the idea. Yeah? Entertain it. You've heard it. Yeah? Apply it. If you feel like, all right, it's time to hear affirmations about what you are, then fucking go there. But I've warned us that this movement of selfing is faster than any process I've seen. Yeah. And so whenever you're hearing about what you are, what you're not's claiming to be the hero of it. You gotta notice it. You gotta see it, or you'll be looking from it. You will. Yeah? It's not like you won't be, you will be, you won't. It's not like that. It's mechanical. Yeah? The movement of the selfing is the claim. It implies you're the doer when an action is noted. It implies you're the seer when seeing is occurring. It implies you're the feeler when a feeling occurs. Yeah, that's what it does. And it does it so quick that it establishes itself. It establishes the idea of being the feeler before the feeling, when it isn't true. The feeling comes first. When people are bitching about, I didn't want to feel that, they already felt it. And then they have an opinion they didn't want to feel it. They come after the feeling. They come after the feeling. Just see that. The noun of the feeler comes after the feeling. And then it's implied to be before. We're in a magical trick of time. We're in a trick of time. That which comes after, as soon as it arises, implies it was before. So when you feel like Paul, you feel like you've been feeling like Paul forever, and that you're gonna feel like Paul. It happens all at once. It just arises, jumps over, it leaps over the verb, yeah, and says, I'm the noun, and then it tells the story of life from the noun. Is there a thinker without thought? Where does the idea of being the thinker come from? It comes after thought. Thought was noticed, and then there was an implying there must be a thinker. So thinking occurs, but the idea of being the thinker is like an add-on, yeah? So instead of trying to arrange the thoughts, just hold the thinker with some fucking suspicion. You'll see it's just another thought. It's a thought that self-elevated itself to be a thinker. It's a thought out of many that's elevated itself into nounhood. I'm the thinker. So you can notice every other thought, but you don't notice that one. Yeah? I had it in Germany. A guy was talking about awareness, and he's going, The way I approach it is I'm just nonchalant and stuff like that. And then anything that's noted, I just noted. I said, oh yeah, but don't you see, who is that that's nonchalant? You didn't catch the first fucking thief. Now you're busily seeing all the other thieves. You'd missed the first one. Yeah? We're missing the first one. We're looking at thoughts from the thinker. We're looking at feelings from the feeler. Yeah? We're definitely looking at actions from the actor. You can try to work those stories, but they're severely limited. It's going to be very difficult to have self-forgiveness. Very difficult. I've seen it in recovery where the obviousness of being powerless over what I did while I was under the influence, the complete obviousness that I was apt to do almost anything while I was loaded, still gets overridden by the sense of doer. The sense of doer still goes back there and claims to be the one who did all that shit, and heaps a lot of guilt and shame and wanting to avoid and deny from that field. I've watched it, yeah? The complete evidence that you were totally a mad person, that the only thing that could stop you was a physical altercation. You'd have to be arrested or something, and you would have to do anything. It doesn't matter to the programming. The programming will keep claiming to be the doer in all that behavior. There'll be no fucking forgiveness. You'll have to work for forgiveness, and that working forgiveness, that fucking transactional bullshit is selfing, complete selfing. So now you have to perform and be really good so that you get a little relief from when you were really bad. It's duality. It's just the same bondage of self. It's exact same. Once it's a nicer way to go. It's like the gold chain instead of the iron chain. But it's still chained, yes? People wake up and they have to have a good Saturday to convince themselves that they're worthy. Yeah? They can't loaf around. They've got to go home and, oh, I went to the coffee, I did this, look at all the pictures and the posts. It's like I remember when I was in Burma and we got this incredible temple site, 5,000 temples all around this arid plain, sort of like this. And then one day people would go at night just before the sunset to watch all the spires, you know? It's incredible. So we were at one stupa, which is like a Buddhist thing. We were sitting on it, and then we see this big dust trail, and we don't know what it is, and it's a bus, and the bus is going through all the dirt roads and pulls right up to where we are. Suddenly the doors open, all these Asian tourists come out, they walk right up to the temple, turn away towards the bus driver takes a picture of them, they get back in the bus. And I bet you they went home and said, look at where we were. They weren't fucking at the temple, but they have evidence they were at the temple, which is more important. They have a picture. So they can convince themselves they were somewhere. Isn't that slavery? I don't know. I don't know what else you would call it. So here I got sober, felt I was really bad, so now I got to be really good. So the first 5 years of sobriety, it was necessary. I was on probation, really. I was my own probation officer, the good Paul, watching out for the bad Paul, because the bad Paul had a very nasty habit of showing up a lot, and it was constantly watching it, you know, and no one put me on that probation other than self. God wasn't holding me fucking hostage. All of it was me. Remember, one more and then we'll go. The prodigal son. Doesn't matter if you're not Catholic or not Christian. The prodigal son is a great, great story. It's about a guy who has a nice situation. He splits, starts getting loaded, yeah, starts acting out, and of course he's thinking he's bad, yeah. His father would be super pissed if he ever heard about it. So he just doesn't get in touch with anybody, his family, his father. And he ends up in a pigsty fighting over corn cobs with some pigs. And it finally hits him. Fuck it. And he surrenders all his ideas. And suddenly, immediately, he's on the road and there's his father with a nice ring and some clothes putting it on him like that. It happened like immediately. The salvation. It was all his restraint, all his requirements, all his believing that he wasn't worthy that was keeping the day away. As soon as he gave up his ideas, his opinions, there it was, like that. It says, he was just there, hey, come on, we're having a big feast. Unbelievable, yeah? How many more hours, minutes do you want to live like that? Just see you're not that. See you're not that, which is a transactional condition. If I'm good, I can have some good things. If I'm bad, shit should happen, yeah? Just see it. It's an insane fucking thing going on. And this thing, in all the solutions that are offered, it travels right in it. The selfing is in recovery. The selfing's everywhere. The selfing is in fucking temples. It's doing its thing everywhere. You see a beautiful situation from the outside, you get near the inner circle, then all the gossip and all the bullshit, like, oh, they told me had to be celibate for 15 years when the inner circle is fornicating every day. It's a little confusing. What the fuck, you know? What, you think it's unusual? Oh, everywhere. Yeah. Who's playing God? See it. Yeah. We have that statement in AA. You have to quit playing God. First, you got to recognize what's playing God. Because if that which is playing God tries to quit playing God, that's fucking playing God. You've got to see that which is playing God to be other than you. And in fact, it's playing God with your God juice, so to speak. Yeah? So you see, you're not that which is playing God. That's the quitting of playing God. If that which is playing God tries to quit playing God, it goes on ad infinitum. It's playing God. You see it, fucking, it's just give up the freaking ghost. Yeah? You're not going to get it. You're not going to understand it. You're not going to have it. You're not going to experience it. It's totally... Yeah, like it's sort of like a gem that, you know, when in the old amusement parks, they'd have this thing of toys and you have the little crane with the thing. Your knowing, your way of understanding cannot pick up, they can't pick up the message. It comes up with something. It's not it. It's not it. It's not it. Yeah. See the failedness of what's being used, and then maybe your allegiance to it will be questioned, and maybe you'll start seeing you're not that, and then find out what happens with that. I think that's a sound foundation, is seeing what you're not, and then see what gets built on it. And if the building goes on uninterrupted for 15, 20 years, or it should be a pretty good clue that you have a sound foundation. Yes? It's a pretty damn good clue if you're enjoying peace and understanding serenity. Yes? It's a pretty damn good clue. You're finally onto something sound that's not moving around like sand. Yeah? And it's not based on you. Not based on how you feel or how you're doing. Yeah? Yeah. So, that's the... I had some people at the house staying. Should shut this off now. She'll probably watch this.